Most men misread this moment and pay the price. You felt it before. The sudden chill in her voice, the way her eyes stop searching for yours, the invisible wall she builds in the middle of a conversation, no reason given. You replay your words, hunting for the mistake. Was it your tone? A gesture? A sentence that turned warmth into frost? And while you question yourself, she drifts further away. That distance is not random. It's a signal. It's a test. Misread it, and you'll fail completely. Nietzsche saw this pattern not just in love, but in every arena of human power. Beneath kindness and affection, there's always a quiet contest for strength. A subtle question. Who will lead the dance? When a woman turns cold, she's not punishing you, she's measuring you. She's testing whether your presence rests on solid rock or on the shifting sands of her approval. Here's Nietzsche's core lesson. She does not respect the man who needs her warmth to stand tall. She respects the man whose fire burns from within, a fire that no change in her mood can touch. Understand this, and you'll never panic at her coldness again. You'll see it for what it is, an invitation to prove you are your own sun. And strangely, this is when her frost melts fastest. The moment she sees you can live without her warmth, she's drawn to give it. Not out of pity, but out of desire. Picture this. You're at a lively gathering. The two of you are in that electric space of first connection. She laughs. She leans in slightly. Her eyes hold yours with curiosity. Then, without warning, she shifts away. Looks around. Her tone cools. What just happened? You've triggered an ancient instinct. By pulling back, she awakens the primal fear in men, exile from the tribe, loss of approval. In our evolutionary past, rejection could mean danger. And so, men were wired to chase re-entry fast. Psychologically, her coldness is the shake of a ladder, testing whether you cling tighter or stay balanced. Nietzsche understood. In every relationship, one proves strength, while the other tests for weakness. She's not plotting like a chess player. It's instinct. And instinct doesn't listen to excuses. Here's the trap most men fall into. They panic. They lean in. They overcompensate with jokes, compliments, sudden vulnerability, trying to win her back. But in doing so, they broadcast the fatal message. Her mood controls mine. The frame collapses. He's no longer grounded in his own worth. Nietzsche would say, he's placed himself beneath her. He's allowed her emotional weather to decide his internal climate. From here, attraction rots quickly. She senses his fear of disconnection. The spark turns to subtle contempt. She sees a man seeking permission to stand tall, instead of standing tall as his birthright. Every extra attempt to warm her becomes another signal of low status, and with each word, he sinks further. The man who can truly lead the dance knows the secret. The strongest response is the opposite of overcompensation. It is stillness. When she shifts, you don't chase. You keep speaking at your own pace, maybe even turning your focus to someone else or to a completely different subject. The hidden message is powerful. Her coldness is not a threat to you. Your fire does not depend on her temperature. Here's where Nietzsche's philosophy breathes. Master morality versus slave morality. The man rooted in master morality does not ask, how do I get her back? He asks, does this even serve me? In this stance, he shows the highest form of value, indifference to conditional approval. He reveals that her attempt to shake him only proves his stability. The effect on her is instant and unsettling. She expected pursuit, proof she held the power. Instead, she finds herself pulled toward a man unmoved by her withdrawal. First comes confusion. Why didn't my tactic work? Then comes intrigue. What kind of man stays certain, meeting my coldness with a warmth that isn't aimed at me, but comes from within? Over time, that intrigue turns into obsession. She now sees him as a man with access to a deeper source of value, a source she wants to be close to. She remembers that moment when she tried to drag him into her storm, and he stood calm until she stepped back into his sunlight. Scenario 2. The digital test. Now, the same dynamic plays out quietly in the digital world. You've been exchanging messages for days or weeks, smooth, addictive rhythm. She replies quickly with energy and curiosity, playful emojis, thoughtful replies. Then suddenly, the tempo drops. Hours pass before she responds. Her messages become shorter, stripped of warmth. It's not random, it's another hidden test. In our evolutionary past, time and attention were rare, precious resources. By pulling away in the digital space, she triggers emotional scarcity, sparking that old anxiety about losing connection. She's checking, is your stability built on her constant attention, or can you stand solid, even in the silence she creates? The real trap isn't the time gap, it's what it pulls out of you, the urge to chase. And here's where most men fail. They fire off multiple texts, they try humor, they send compliments, or worse, guilt trips about her absence. This doesn't land as devotion, it lands as dependency. She sees the truth. He can't hold his frame when his supply of her attention is cut off. Nietzsche would say, he's now revealed the slave morality of a man who reacts to external shifts instead of creating his own rhythm. When a man reacts instead of leading, he stops commanding his own reality. He hands her the keys to his emotional state. Once she senses this, her curiosity fades. His energy becomes predictable, warm when rewarded, restless and needy when denied. There's no edge, no mystery, no sign of the inner abundance that makes a man immune to small withdrawals. The power move here is measured silence. You don't chase. You don't speed up because she slowed down. You stay on your own schedule. And maybe, without effort, you become a little less available. Not as a game, but because your life is already full. The message is clear. Her availability doesn't dictate your behavior. Nietzsche's will to power explains it perfectly. The man who truly holds power doesn't beg for attention. He is busy building and expanding his own world. She can join it or not. But his world will not collapse if she drifts to the edge. This is not arrogance, it's sovereignty. It shows you are the source, not the seeker. The shift in her perception is subtle but deep. At first, she might think you're just busy, but as the pattern holds, a tension builds. She doesn't know exactly where she stands with you. And that uncertainty is magnetic. Now she's the one seeking re-entry into your attention. Replies become faster. Messages grow warmer. She finds excuses to reach out. Her test flips against her. What began as a measure of your strength turns into her effort to earn her place in your focus. And because you never chased, you kept control without lifting a finger. Nietzsche would call this the quiet victory of strength over reaction. You didn't prove your worth by chasing, you proved it by not needing to. Her respect grows, not because you ignored her, but because your life is clearly more than a waiting room for her replies. More than any text, this shows that your fire burns with or without her fuel. Scenario 3. The date test. Now, the scene shifts to the early stages of a date. The setting is warm, inviting, designed for connection. You meet at a dimly lit, cozy venue. She greets you with a smile, her eyes bright, the conversation smooth. Then, somewhere between a sip of wine and the next topic, she pulls back. Her answers shorten. Her gaze drifts. She leans away as if disengaging. This is a layered moment. Part instinct, part psychology. It's a stress test for your composure. In the animal kingdom, dominance is tested with subtle defiance. Breaking eye contact, turning away, shifting posture, to see if the other reacts with insecurity. Her coldness here is the human equivalent. She's not always signaling rejection. She's probing for cracks in your frame. She wants to see if your confidence depends on her enthusiasm, or if it's a structural part of you, still intact when her feedback is withheld. This isn't cruelty, it's survival wiring. She needs to know the man she chooses can remain steady, not only when things are smooth, but also when the warmth fades. When a woman tests your composure by pulling away, the weak male response is immediate panic and overcompensation. He notices the shift in her energy and rushes to recover her warmth. He leans in, forces eye contact, changes topics quickly, offers compliments, or dives into emotional territory too soon, hoping to pull her back. Each of these actions sends the same message. Her momentary withdrawal unsettles him. Nietzsche would say this shows the man's strength is reactive, not inherent. His confidence depends on her engagement. Without her validation, he cannot hold himself up. This changes her internal calculation. Instead of seeing him as a steady pillar, she sees a man who crumbles under mild resistance. In the language of attraction, the aura of inevitability disappears. She feels safe knowing she can control his emotions, and control kills desire. The power move is to treat her shift as irrelevant to your self-worth. You keep your tone steady, your pace calm, and your body language unchanged. You might even pause, letting silence be your tool, not your fear, then shift attention away from her. A comment to the waiter, a glance around, or a new story to tell. Your message is clear. Her withdrawal holds no power over you. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the man who defines his own values and stands apart from the herd's approval, shines here. You don't change to win her back. You act from the same centered place you held before she shifted. This power doesn't need announcing because it is obvious. Her perception shifts subtly but surely. She notices her withdrawal failed to shake you. Where others might scramble to regain warmth, you stayed steady, as if unaware of the cold wind she tried to send. Your absence of reaction becomes a mirror, forcing her to examine her own motives and interest. Slowly, intrigue replaces detachment. She leans in, not because you pulled her back, but because she fears losing her place in your attention. In her mind, you become a man who cannot be manipulated by emotional shifts. Over time, she tells herself this story. You are rare, your presence constant, not performance. This story threatens her control and fuels her desire because it places you as the one who leads without fighting for the role. Scenario 4. After conflict. This scenario unfolds after an argument when emotions are raw and her coldness is sharp. You've disagreed, and now she responds with silence, clipped answers, or avoids eye contact. The tension thickens. Every word is heavy with unspoken meaning. Her coldness is deliberate, a weapon testing your ability to absorb rejection without breaking your identity. Evolutionarily, conflict between mates was a test of trust and hierarchy. Her withdrawal after confrontation is a primal question. Do you have the strength to withstand my displeasure and remain steady? She activates the deepest fear, abandonment and loss of alliance. Her coldness pushes you into a crucible where your self-worth must stand independent of her approval. The weak response is emotional escalation or collapse. He tries to fix things with excessive apologies, pleading, or over-explanations. Often, he floods her with messages trying to soothe or deny the tension. When conflict leaves her cold and distant, many men fall into what Nietzsche calls slave morality, surrendering their power to external approval rather than standing firm with internal authority. This response shows a fragile foundation. When her consent is withheld, he crumbles. The result? His desperation lowers his status in her eyes, confirming her power over him. Attraction fades into pity or even contempt. She no longer sees him as a strong partner, but as a supplicant, and nothing kills desire faster than that. The power response is quiet resilience. Accept her coldness without panic or overreaction. Hold your calm as if her emotional temperature doesn't affect your core. Instead of flooding her with words, offer your presence without pressure. Be steady, measured, consistent. Nietzsche's idea of the will to power shines here as emotional sovereignty, mastery over your internal world no matter the external storm. You don't beg for her warmth, you reclaim your role as the ruler of your emotional realm. Your silence becomes the loudest message. You are too valuable to be shaken by fleeting storms. At first, she's surprised. Then she respects you. Her hope that coldness would topple you is broken. She struggles to reconcile her withdrawal with your unshaken presence. Gradually, fascination grows. She becomes engaged, trying to unravel the mystery of a man whose strength resists rejection. This curiosity deepens into attraction because desire thrives on challenge and strength. Her coldness, once a weapon, now sparks the fire she feels toward you. The dynamic shifts. You are no longer the chaser, but the inviter. Her story about you changes from control to admiration. Unconsciously, she seeks your approval, even if she doesn't say it outright. The relationship's power balance moves to your favor, grounded in your refusal to be broken by emotional withdrawal. Scenario 5. The deepest coldness. The final and most intense test. Her coldness is not playfulness or testing, but a shield against vulnerability and fear. Imagine she reveals a deep insecurity or painful past. Instead of empathy, she retreats abruptly into silence and distance. This coldness is survival, a primal defense against exposure, rejection, and abandonment. In evolutionary terms, showing weakness risked social death. Retreating into coldness was the safest refuge. Now, the real test: can you be a steady harbor amid her inner chaos? The weak response: seeing her coldness as rejection and reacting with frustration, confusion, or withdrawal. Many men try logic or pressure to break through, but this reaction shows they can't hold space for her vulnerability. Nietzsche would see this as failing to embody the Übermensch, the power to create meaning and value despite suffering, not flee from it. Pushing against her coldness only strengthens her walls and widens the distance. The power move here is radical acceptance combined with unwavering presence. Don't demand explanations or immediate re-engagement. Create a safe psychological space without pressure. Hold your frame steady like a rock. Show that your value doesn't depend on her emotional availability. Demonstrate patience. True strength in disguise. Nietzsche's philosophy teaches that true power is mastery of oneself amid chaos. By embracing her coldness with calm and acceptance, you become the stable force she needs.